Howdy, tubers. Well, we're back at it here. This is Saturday, August 10th, and we've got a cool front that's come in out here. 57 degrees on a Saturday afternoon in August. Feels nice. Anyways, we've been working on this tractor a little bit here. I went ahead and got things kind of started, changing some things up. I've decided that's just too much weight that I've been dealing with on this tractor. So I have a chemical tote here, and we are currently draining the calcium chloride out of this tire. When we get done draining it, I will mark on the tote the level so I know how much of that fluid went in this tire, and then we will drain that other tire here later on. But we are currently draining some out, and I will pause the video here because this is going to take a while and this is just going to be boring for y'all. So I think I'm going to pull my big truck in. You can kind of see it sitting out there. It needs a service done on it. I need to change the oil and grease it. So I think while this tires are draining, we're gonna service my truck, and I'm not gonna bore you with that. That's just a whole lot of grease and oil. So we will be back with you in just a little bit. Okay guys, we're back. We got that truck greased and got it kicked back outside, and you didn't want to watch this calcium chloride draining because that took a couple of hours, but we got her all drained out, and you can see we've got about 60, probably just guessing 64 gallons in there at 11.3 gallons, 11.3 pounds per gallon. And then they say calcium chloride is about 30% heavier. I'm kind of roughly calculating that we have removed 700 pounds from that tire. So that ought to help the old cherry picker. I feel good about things now. I'm not going to pull that off like I had talked earlier. That's just a whole nother wrestling match. We've removed 700 gallons, or 700 pounds. So let's just continue on. We've got the thing sitting on one bottle jack anyway for now. I think I'm probably going to put this floor jack under it just because it has wheels. If something in the front settles and makes it move, it can move on the wheels instead of trying to tip a bottle jack over. So I think that's how I'm going to do that. Anyway, so about all we got to do now is I've already got it chained up. I think we're good to go. We'll just remove them bolts out and see how smoothly we can remove this side. So I will stick you up here somewhere where you can watch, and we will continue on. We'll get this old tote of chemical out of the way here. Did y'all see that tractor move? I did. I'm a little gun shy. That thing was heavy. So there's the sun gear. I know I probably have not made the right comments about things. I know this is the sun gear. I know these are the planetaries. I kind of was referring to them all as the sun gear the other day, but I know what's what. Sometimes I just don't talk like it. So we will just set that here somewhere. The brakes, they don't look bad, but they don't look very healthy either. I mean, they look pretty thin. I'll set them right here. Not sure what this piece is called, but a disc brake. And we have revealed the other 6 bolts. So we can, so how steady is this? It's steady. That loader, it's got a loader on it. That's what's holding it up front. That keeps the tractor from trying to tip. So anyways, she's sitting a little bit wonky because this front tire is trying to go flat. But there's that. I'm gonna get busy. I bought 2 new wheels to replace the broken one on my cherry picker. I'll get that fixed real quick, and we will use that cherry picker. We'll get these knocked loose, and we will use that cherry picker to lift that up out of there so we can see what we got. Just in case. My bolts don't match up, so I'm just gonna weld it on. Heck with it. Good enough. I was gonna weld the other wheel. I got a replacement for the other side too, but you know what? They're both touching the ground. This one's just a little bit taller, but I don't believe we know it. So I'm just gonna leave it and don't fix what's not broken, I guess, right? So we've got that ready to go. Now we can work on pulling this out. So, hello guys, I'm back again here. I don't know, my camera keeps getting hot and I lose footage and everything. This little segment is actually 3 or 4 days later. I lost video on removing the differential out of the case here. So I wanted to come back and describe to you what I had done here. I had used this cherry picker and I wrapped the chain around this diff. I lifted it up out of there. It was a little tipsy on one side, so I had to keep one hand on it. And when I got it up out of here, I just rested it on the case of this tractor. I took the chain off and I just bear hugged it and I laid it here on the tire. That thing is not light. We got it apart. These gears look just fine. The bearings, they're all fine. So we got the parts out. Like I say, this is a few days later. I've got most of the parts. One part I'm still waiting on. The sun gear was obsolete. Oops. John Deere could not get me that. This oil tube was obsolete. I could not get it. So I got this is the old one that got scrunched. I got the oil tube and the sun gear at a salvage yard called Abilene Machine out of Abilene, Kansas. They had those. This one's on me and it cost me 160 bucks. So I guess it could have been way worse. John Deere had a pin and they had the spider gears. So the pin that got sheared off here, you can tell it is not much longer. John Deere had that, so we got us a new pin to hold this in place in the diff. I got my gaskets. Got a gasket for the PTO cover. I got a gasket for the transmission. This is the gasket for right above the diff that the tractor seat sits above. And then I got 2 gaskets for the sides for where the axles bolt up. So I'm waiting on the seal. There's a seal in this. He had accidentally ordered the wrong seal and it was way too small. So that'll be here next week sometime. That is not going to hold me up. We can put that on at the very end here. So anyways, I've got the parts. I guess first thing I'll do when I start on this, I'll put all the new pieces back in this diff and put it back together. I'm gonna clean the inside of my case out here. It's a little dirty down in there. We're gonna clean it all up nice and we'll just slowly start putting her back together. So this will be the conclusion video of my last weekend's video. I needed something to finish this video off. So anyways, we was able to get the parts. That's the main thing. So we will see you all next time.